It's KMJ at KMJNow.com or wherever you stream. Welcome to the Marc Kapetan Show. This is attorney Marc Kapetan, your host. Today's show is brought to you by the Kapetan Brothers Law Firm. We've been serving the Central Valley since 1995. If you or anybody you know has been injured in an auto accident, a truck accident, or a motorcycle accident, give us a call at 559-498-8000. Kapetan Brothers, 559-498-8000. Or if you've been arrested or cited for a criminal offense, call us at the Kapetan Brothers Law Firm. We are the Valley's Law Firm. Kapetan Brothers, 559-498-8000. Hey, folks, in my office at the Kapetan Brothers Law Firm, I have models of helicopters, and I've never flown one, all right? But it was helicopters that my dad had collected as a Marine helicopter pilot. You know, they get dusty and they get in the way, and my poor cleaners, at the office there, they probably drives them crazy that I have them there. But I just can't seem to part ways with them. You know, they are a indirect connection with my father, the Colonel, as he was called by my friends. He was a lifelong Marine, a decorated war hero with a distinguished flying cross, and an all-around great guy and a great father, I got to say. Isn't Father's Day coming up here, Marcella? No, Mother's Day was last week. Yeah. Hey. Well, this may air around the time, so happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there, including my dad out there, up in the pearly gates, the flying those real wings, basically. Of the Angel, yeah. Listen, of those models collecting dust, there is a Sikorsky CH-34. They called it the Seahorse, a CH-46, which is a Sea Knight, and a CH-53, which is Sea Stallion. The Sea Stallion, for my next guest's interest, was actually a name suggested to Igor Sikorsky, the inventor of the modern-day helicopter, by my father.
Wow. And
there's a long story that I won't get into, but, when they were trying to come up with names, there's a Seahorse and then there's a Sea Knight. Well, what's better than a Seahorse? Well, a Sea Stallion. And so my dad said Sea Stallion. That's how I came up with it. Anyway. When Blake Taylor, the program director of KMJ, suggested my next guest, saying that he was recently retired helicopter pilot from the Fresno Sheriff's Department, I said, absolutely, I got to know this guy and I got to interview him. Our guest today served 31 years on the Fresno County Sheriff's Air Support Unit, flying helicopters for rescue, recovery, and patrol. His service has saved lives, rescued and or recovered those who were missing, and generally protected you, the citizens of Fresno County. He is a husband, he's a father, a grandfather?
Yep.
Wow. Doesn't look it. And by the way, a real man, thank you again, Marcella, for bringing guys that look like real men and comparing to this pipsqueak of a guy that I am. And he'll likely be seen on the streets of Fresno much, much more often now that he's retired, cruising Blackstone in his
66 Nova.
66 Nova. I thought you had a Camaro also, they said.
I just acquired a 68 Chevelle also.
Oh, Chevelle.
Yeah, I got that one.
Beautiful.
Too.
Okay.
So.
I would like to welcome to the Marc Kapetan Show from the Fresno County Air Squadron, retired Deputy 4, Michael Sill. Welcome, Michael.
Good to be here.
Yeah.
Great hearing your intro on your dad. That's very cool because I actually have the Sikorsky S tattooed on my chest.
No, do you really?
Yeah, just kind of
wow.
Just kind of a cool. It's a great emblem. Last name Sill.
Yeah.
And ended up flying helicopters and had to pay tribute to the guy that started it all.
Wow.
And then to hear that your dad's the one that.
And folks, we don't plan any of this stuff.
No.
That is something that I heard for the first time right now too.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah, so pretty cool. Would have been great to sit down with him for a very long period of time and talk to him.
Yeah, he was a great guy. Yeah, he actually has. So I think the 46 was the Seahorse, or the 34 was the Seahorse, and that's the main one that he flew in Vietnam. He switched from jets to helicopters in Vietnam.
Smart move.
Yeah, and that's what they said at the time. They said, "Hey, this is going to be a smart move for you to do." I'll show you, and I wanted to bring the models here, and I just didn't have the time, but I'll show you. We have, my brothers and I, there's a larger wooden model, wind tunnel test model, one of, I think, 3 that they used to test whether this thing would fly aerodynamically or not.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. So I'll bring it for you.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about you.
Yeah.
Retired. How's that coming along? Love it?
Actually, it's great. Every day's been better and better. And as we were discussing prior to the show starting, it's been a long planned event. So the transition from working full time into retirement has been excellent.
Are your flying days, I was going to talk about this at the end, but are your flying days done?
I'm not going to say they're done. I've kind of halted that for right now.
Yeah.
Just kind of getting used to the whole retirement aspect. Another thing that I think about quite a bit is the fact that after flying helicopters as long as I flew them and where I flew them and how we flew them, made it to the end without wrecking one or doing any damage to anybody else or anything. So it's kind of like that. I tell everybody it was kind of like that Willy Wonka golden ticket.
Yeah.
If you get it, cash it in and enjoy the rest of it.
And basically what you're saying in a very nice way and knocking on wood and all that kind of stuff is, listen, I had no incidents. And my dad used to say they weren't meant to fly.
Yeah.
A helicopter is not something that's supposed to happen, basically.
Yeah.
And what you're saying basically is I made it through how many years?
34 years total, and then starting in the air unit, started flying helicopters in 97.
Yeah, so you made it through all those years without incident, and why risk it now that I'm in retirement when I just enjoy the time?
Yeah, I've talked to some guys that retired as pilots out of law enforcement, and listening to them and kind of seeing how it was on the other side, I don't miss it. There are aspects of it that I miss. But I feel very, like I was saying earlier, I was blessed, lucky, and fortunate all in the same breath.
You don't, there's got to be an allure to flying. And I know it's not like flying jets and things of that nature. At some point, does the job after, how many years of actual flying in the sheriff's department?
Roughly 28.
Okay. After 28 years of flying, does it become like you're just driving a bus around, or do you still have that thrill of flying through the air like you're a bird?
The aspect of flying a helicopter is the fact that every second changes. So there's never a moment like the next, and that's what keeps you going. And I'm going to say the thrill of it, flying a helicopter, because everything that that helicopter relies on, whether it be temperature, wind, weight, is always changing. There's always variables. Right. So every time you fly a helicopter, and airplanes as well, but helicopters, especially when you're working a helicopter for rescue or on patrol calls, it's dynamic. It changes every second, and so you don't get that lull for the most part, and it's not autopilot. And you're working. Is
it safe to say basically a plane you can let go of the controls and it'll fly itself for a while, but a helicopter you just can't do that?
Well, for the most part, on the basic level, yes. Yeah. Planes inherently want to fly.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier,
helicopters want to drop.
Inherently want to fly.
Yeah.
So you are, obviously the more advanced stuff has autopilot and stuff, and there's a good reason for it. But this type of aircraft that I flew didn't, and you actually flew it every moment. And the whole idea was to bring it back in one piece after doing what you had to do. And
what was the model?
It was started off with the Sheriff's Department got 2 MD-500E models.
Okay. McDonnell Douglas,
yeah,
right?
McDonnell Douglas in 97. And then in 2018, we had the good fortune of getting a MD-530F, which was basically the same platform, but more horsepower.
Okay.
Which allowed us to work basically at higher altitudes.
Does it become, and this gets back to the question of the retirement and whether you want to fly again, it may not be like driving a bus, but after close to 30 years of doing this, does it become so taxing mentally, physically, because of the fact that you can't let go of the controls like you can on an airplane, that you're just like, okay, I've had enough basically right now?
The fun part of that overrides that, because the stuff we're out doing with that helicopter is truly an essential part of the sheriff's department, whether it was helping the guys on the ground or helping somebody that was lost or injured. So that part never kind of transitioned into my flying.
Right.
There was always something going on. It was different all the time. So that part never happened.
Well, we're going to talk about some of those incidents. I just got to say, though, as we talk for your wife's sake, that I agree you should still be flying in retirement, but that just in Hawaii, okay? So to the missus, I'm trying to get him to go to Hawaii also. So we'll be right back with Michael Sill. He's the part of Eagle One and the Fresno Sheriff's Air Support Unit, now retired. Right after this is KMJ. This is KMJ at KMJnow.com or wherever you stream. Hey, folks, you could check out all of the KMJ shows at KMJnow.com. Or you could get the KMJ app and you could go to podcasts. So if you missed today's show, or if you got to go get your hair done or something like that right now, you could check everything out on the podcast. You could also check out Ray Appleton's show and Philip and E, Christina Moussan and John Broski, all the people. The morning show with Chris Gabriel. Hey, by the way, let's give a little shout out to our buddy Ray Appleton, who's in recuperating, doing well though. I talked to him and I texted him, so everything's good. But go to KMJnow.com or get the app and you can check out all the podcasts. You could also check us out streaming on YouTube and on Facebook, the Marc Kapetan Show. Go to YouTube and Facebook, all that kind of stuff. We are back on with Michael Sill. He is a former deputy with the Fresno County Sheriff's Department. Deputy 4, right, Michael? Yeah, yes. Deputy 4. He was also a pilot with the Air Squadron. You guys call it the Air Unit, the Air Squadron? I've heard different things.
It's Air Unit, Air Support Unit, and then there also is a Sheriff's Air Squadron, and that's made up of the civilian...
the volunteers?
Volunteer guys.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I knew some of the guys on the Air Squadron, too. Yeah. We used to go meet up at the Chandler.
Yeah, they still have an office out there, and they're very vital in doing stuff when it comes to search and rescue.
Yeah, I heard they have a new restaurant out there. We got to go try it out, Marcelo. You could watch all the planes land and have and that may be a good place to give all the models that my dad collected of all the jets and planes and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, okay, Michael Sill from the Sheriff's Department. Let's talk about some of the incidents or some of the rescues that you've had. There's one, and I don't want to, be too dramatic about it, but throughout your career, there are times where you're taking this hulk of a machine, flying it over people that need rescuing, and it's got to be harrowing, it's got to be dangerous, but the sense of you doing this kind of stuff has just got to be so rewarding. There's a young girl that's in the, Friant?
San Joaquin River.
San Joaquin River?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
She and her family, mom and dad, and I believe some other siblings were floating down from the Lost Lake Park area, and they were just coming through the area out by the cement plant out there off Friant Road, Rice Road area, and there was a large tree that was in the water, and she did not navigate it well enough to go around, and her tube got caught on it and then quickly deflated, and then she started to be sucked under the strainer, they called it. It's a big log.
Yeah.
Her father, mother, and his other siblings were able to make it out, and they were probably no less than 50 feet away from her, but there was nothing they can do. She basically was holding on from being pulled under and probably drowning.
Right.
She was probably in the water by the time we arrived on scene for at least 40 minutes, I'm guessing. Somebody either had a cell phone or they heard screaming from the river. They called 911. We were actually on our way out from work. My partner and I, Johnny Reyes, jumped back in the helicopter, flew up that way, started looking for the scene.
Right.
Came across a big strainer in the water and people waving on the shoreline. From there, we tried to make a hasty rescue, basically, which is going at it quickly, just just because of the time element.
And I understand there were other sheriffs that were in boats trying to get to her, but that they would have taken too long.
Yeah, they were on their way.
Yeah.
When a call comes out like that, our boating unit, actually anybody in the area, heads that way.
Yeah.
So, but once we got there, we could tell that this was not a good situation. The only thing that above water was her head, and one arm over a log.
What? This is the young girl that was holding the arm over the log. I remember this in the news.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Marcella.
She was 16, I believe.
Yeah, a young girl holding her arm over the log, and the power of water. Now, mind you, I had a acquaintance of mine. He died from this. Yeah, when you're in that river, and you stay away from those trees, bushes, logs, all that kind of stuff. If you get caught under those things, there's no way, no matter how strong you are, you're going to be able to, with the strength, try to pull yourself out of tons and tons of water pouring over you, pushing you farther and farther down. Eventually you drown, and that's what happened to this boy. Yeah. So I do remember this thing. Yeah. Go ahead.
So basically, we attempted to get down next to her and have her close enough to the helicopter where we could grab onto her and just pull her up onto the helicopter. But with the way the tree was, it was impeding the tail rotor system, and we couldn't get close enough. So the only thing we can do at that point is quickly land on the shore and deploy our cinch collar. So that's a collar that's at the end of a line that's attached to the bottom of the helicopter on a hook. And so we come back over to the top of her, hover down right above her, and Johnny starts lowering her the cinch collar. But she wouldn't grab it. She was
afraid to let go.
Yeah. She thought she'd be sucked under.
Right.
So I got on the PA system of the helicopter, and I told her, you need to put the ring over your head and around your body.
Right.
And I think she probably got the idea that if she didn't do this was going to be it. So he's like, hey, she's doing it. So he goes, but you can't lift her straight up.
Right.
Because if we do, it's going to basically pull her into the log. So what we did is we drug her upstream a little bit out from underneath the strainer. And then we were able to lift her up and literally slide her over to the shoreline and drop her off.
How far off the ground is the helicopter at this point?
Well, the line that comes out of the helicopter is 50 feet long.
Right.
So we're about 50 feet up. But I try to, when we do a rescue like this, the idea is to get the victim up out of the water or out of the whatever they're in.
Yeah.
And minimize their height above the ground.
Right.
So we had to only lift her probably 10 feet out of the water because we had the steep bank to contend with. Lift her up over that, set her down. Family comes running over to her. She gets out of the collar.
Yeah.
And it's over in seconds.
You're still, though, you have to lower down below 50 feet because if that rope's 50 feet and you want to pull her sideways a little bit, you got to get down closer to the water and pull sideways a bit.
What we do is we keep that line tight a little bit. And then we moved upstream a little, and it pulled her out from underneath that.
Do you guys get training to do this?
We do. That's something we practice every year throughout the year. This is kind of the season that happens. Matter of fact, I was talking to one of the guys, and they just had that training this last week.
Yeah.
So they go out and they train for it, deploying the cinch collar. There's other elements to that they can use, but in a situation like that where the person is limited on what they can do, as long as they can get that collar around them, it'll cinch up around their body, and we can get them out of whatever they're in.
Do you then go home and take off, or do you land that helicopter and go check out?
Well, that day we landed, and we were pretty happy.
Yeah.
And he went over and checked on her. I kept the helicopter running. He went over and checked on her. Then the other units arrived on scene. Right. They checked her out medically. EMS came out and checked her out. And she'd been in that water for, like I said, probably a good 45 minutes.
I understand her legs were getting numb, she said.
Yeah. She was afraid that if she grabbed onto she told my partner that if she grabbed onto that collar and put it around her, she was afraid that when we pulled on her, it was going to rip her legs off because they were bound up in the strainer.
At any point after that, did you meet her?
You know what? About a year later, we ended up meeting. We actually got video of this all occurring.
Yeah.
I wear a GoPro.
Right.
And it got recorded. So Johnny and I actually got flown out to New York for it was like the Cops Live program.
Oh yeah,
with
you were on
sticks.
A&E. I understand. Yeah.
So they did a little bit of that, and then at an award ceremony,
Little
we
recognition.
got to meet her, and it was great.
Recognition and probably a very, very big hug.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
That's the cool stuff.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that you enjoy doing, and it
Absolutely.
makes a difference.
It makes a difference. Making a difference. Michael Sill from the Fresno County Sheriff's Department. We're going to be right back after this on KMJ. This is the Marc Kapetan Show. It's News Talk 580 1059 KMJ. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show. Folks, you know the drill. If you've been arrested or cited for a criminal offense, if you have Eagle One helicopter following your car right now, give the Kapetan brothers a call right now while they're following you. By the way, I've actually had that happen. I'm going to pop this music down. Kapetan brothers, folks, you know, if you've been arrested or cited for a criminal offense, or if you've been injured in an auto accident, a truck accident, or a motorcycle accident, I know it's a very, very scary time. Call the Kapetan brothers. Do me a favor. Do your friends a favor. If they've been in an accident, call the Kapetan brothers law firm, and you know, we'll answer your questions. We'll ease your concerns. We've won millions of dollars for our clients. We really know what we're doing, and we sure would appreciate the business. So if you've been in an accident, give us a call. And if you've been arrested, give us a call. Kapetan Brothers, 559-498-8000. Yeah, actually, we are on with Michael Sill, who is Eagle One. Michael, you may have been it. I had a guy being chased by the helicopter. So,
we've seen people making phone calls while we're chasing.
Oh, yeah. Calling the attorneys, saying, I'm about to be arrested. Yep. So, yeah. I just thought of that. Oh, my gosh. Michael Sill from the Fresno County Sheriff's Department. He was with Eagle One. He was the Eagle One pilot with the air unit.
Yep.
For how many years again?
28.
28 years, yeah. Now retired. Living the good life, as they say. Yeah. Always wanted to be a pilot or what?
You know, I had uncles that had airplanes.
Yeah.
And went for rides with them as a young kid and kind of got an idea that would be kind of fun to do. And, went to Fresno State and got hired by the Sheriff's Department. And I thought, you know, this is a good time to learn to fly and start flying airplanes first. Kind of as a hobby.
Criminology major, right?
Yeah, criminology major at Fresno State. Yeah. And it just transitioned to there. Sheriff's Department got an air unit. They started that air unit and it was actually in conjunction with Fresno PD. It was Operation Skywatch.
Oh, that's right.
Back in 95, 96 there. And then they split, and both air units, you know, protect and serve from the air, but the missions are different. And you know, the county's a little bigger, more diverse geography.
Right.
So the helicopter that would work for the city was not going to work for the county. Just the type of missions that were needing to be performed. So they split ways. Both have had success with their air units over the years. And
I never thought of that, though. As a sheriff's air unit, you guys are doing that flyover Millerton Dam and way out to the the east or the west side and all that kind of stuff.
Over 6,000 square miles. Elevation here in Fresno is about 330 feet.
Yeah.
And we've got Sierras that go up to 14,000.
Wait a minute. Is the helicopter going to 14,000?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. Yeah. Oh, wow.
My highest landing with the new helicopter we have is 14,000, basically 800.
An easy landing, or is it buffeting at that point?
No, the F model is built for that hot altitude performance, and it did it. Up there looking for a hiker that was missing. A lot of people don't know this, but a lot of people drive from either the Bay Area or the LA or just even low altitude areas.
Right.
They drive up to Mammoth or the eastern side of the Sierras, and then they go from sea level to 12,000 feet in less than 24 hours, and they start suffering from altitude sickness.
Right.
And so we've got a lot of business doing that.
Yeah.
So you go find them.
All those city slickers.
Yeah. One thing people people don't get lost anymore, really. Everybody's with technology, you know where you're at all the time.
Yeah.
The one thing they can't account for is injury. So that's where the helicopter makes its debut and really performs well up there.
Yeah.
and that's where we get our business.
At 14,800 feet, did you find this hiker?
Actually, we did not find anybody that day, but that was just the performance of that helicopter.
Right.
With the Pacific Crest Trail and the John Muir Trail running through Fresno County, a lot of the activities between the 8 and about 12,000 foot level.
Yeah.
So that's just the mean sea level. The density altitude is usually up around the 13,000, 14,000 range.
Yeah.
And that's where people are walking. And when they get injured, we'll go up and find them and take them either over. Usually we take them over to the other side, Mammoth, Bishop. Right. And turn them over.
They just got to be happy to see you. I mean,
yeah,
God.
They're pretty happy.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny. The first thing they ask you is, how much is this going to cost us?
Oh, yeah. Does it?
Nope. Not a dime.
Really?
Not a dime. It's the,
I'm going to go get lost.
Yeah,
I've never been on a helicopter. I want to take a ride.
Yeah. So.
You found 3 hikers, I understand, up at Pincushion, which isn't that high and that far, but Sky Harbor Road, because of a fire. Was it a fire?
There was a fire one day. That everybody knows that Pincushion Trail. It's a great little spot to go for a morning hike. A lot of people do it, especially on the weekends when the weather's nice. And just happened to be this day. Don't know how the fire started, but these people were basically trapped up at the top. And CDF was bringing in their air tac, and they needed to be evacuated. So quick landing with a helicopter, pile them in, and get them out of there.
It gets dangerous though when you have the fires around, because you have the soot in the air, you have visibility issues, even heat issues, winds.
Winds are a big thing. They're changing rapidly.
Yeah.
It was so thick that we were actually following the sky crane into the location. He was going to make a drop, and then we were going to pick up.
You lost me. Sky crane?
Yeah, the helicopter that drops water, firefighting helicopter.
Yeah.
It's a big praying mantis looking style helicopter. And actually, I lost sight of him, and I actually told the air boss above that, hey, we're not going to continue on this.
Right.
I can't see him, and until he's gone, then we'll go in and get our people and pull them out.
Yeah, so safety for you guys first. Yeah. There's a, and I sort of want to save it, but we may have to finish part of the story. So in the next segment, I'm going to read a quote, because this is just, it's heartbreaking. You have on your retirement someone who writes basically good wishes to you. And I will just say his name is John. I won't mention the last name, but he says, my family witnessed firsthand your hard work and dedication as you spent hours meticulously combing the San Joaquin River in search of our nephew that had ultimately passed. Watching you spend hours just feet above the water, scouring the shore, was an impressive sight to watch. How can you spot that tiny little Vibram tag on the bottom of his boot while piloting a helicopter and avoiding obstacles was truly incredible. Thank you for your years of hard work and dedication. The Sheriff's Office has some big shoes to fill. I'm assuming you remember the case.
Yes.
The Vibram tag, they're talking about the bottom of the kid's boot, is a yellow tag. What does that do to a large, strapping, manly man like you appear to be, that you have to encounter these things as you're doing your job?
It's the job. You got to take the emotion out of it while you're doing the job, because you have to concentrate on what you're doing. The emotion, I tell you right now, though, when it is over with, it's instant. It can be painful, actually.
Yeah.
Physically and mentally, but you'd be surprised when you have a large emotional dump like that, the physical pain that actually comes with it. But at the time you're doing it, it's not a factor. You've trained enough.
But you're flying this helicopter. I'm sure it's rippling the waves of the river, etc. And you're just, I'm assuming, hoping not to find, or you're hoping to find an alive boy, or you're hoping not to find anything, and he's walking on the shore at some point.
That's the ultimate goal. Yeah.
But you still have to, you see that moment when you see that yellow tag, as this John explains, and you're still controlling this hulking thing that we just said has every need to not fly in the air, and you're only feet above the water. And it's just got to be heartbreaking. You got to hold all that in so that you could go down, land the plane or the helicopter, and go advise whoever. And I don't know if you meet the family after that or not.
Usually in those instances, not so much.
It's just too tough.
Well, the logistics of it, usually there's no place currently close to land where they're at or what have you. Usually we have people with them already on the shore, especially on a long search. They're being given information that's pertinent to the search, assuring them that we're doing everything we can.
Had you met this family? I'm reading this, and you just retired recently, so this has just been posted recently. Number one, did you know about that? And number two, had you met that family?
No.
Oh,
I hadn't met them.
Did you know that this posting was there, or did I read it to you for the first time?
No, I was reading for the first time.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's got to be rough.
It is, but the fact that they sent that is very rewarding.
Yeah.
And
you don't think that they think about you at all. And this guy was not only saw that you retired, but reached out like that and had that specific thought in his head regarding something that you did on a routine basis, probably.
Yeah, that's very cool. I would say the rewarding. And when I talked to you earlier about doing the job, chasing the bad guys is fun.
Yeah,
they're going to either run out of talent or they crash,
right,
or they run out of gas or they give up. But when you go and find somebody or rescue somebody that would not be here today if you didn't do that, that's where I truly thought was my calling, so to speak, and what I trained to and mentally prepared for and physically prepared for to do the best I could.
Yeah, but emotionally to prepare for something, especially when part of your job is just to provide resolution to a person, even though it may be a sad resolution. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
We are on with Michael Sill. I'm shaking right now, Marcelo. So we're on with Michael Sill, who is was a pilot with the Fresno County Sheriff's Department. We'll be right back after this. This is the Marc Kapetan Show on KMJ. This is KMJ at KMJnow.com or wherever you stream. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show. I am going to get right back into it with our guest for today, Michael Sill. He is a former pilot with the Fresno County Sheriff's Department, former deputy with the Fresno County Sheriff's Department, flew Eagle One for many, many years, and is now retiring, going off to bigger and better skies. And I say Hawaii for your wife's sake, right? Right, Michael?
She's going to love this segment.
Yes, okay, good. Your wife's name is?
Lisa.
Listen, we had a pretty rough last segment there talking about, pretty tragic recovery operation, right? But during the commercial break, you said, listen, those recovery operations happened a lot, and you got used to seeing the images of a body basically floating just feet underneath the water. So retirement's going to be a good thing for you, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Lisa, she wants to move to Hawaii for a few years, she says, right?
Yes, she does.
Okay. And that doesn't sound like a good idea to you?
Like I was telling you earlier, I have with 2 new grandkids.
Would that be Maverick and Scotland?
Yes.
Were you a Tom Cruise fan by any chance, or your kid?
87.
Maverick?
Graduated high school. Yeah, she was. I was pretty happy with that. It worked out pretty good.
You said high school. You were a Memorial graduate.
No, actually, the rival to Memorial.
Oh.
Garces Memorial.
You were Garces?
Yeah, Bakersfield.
No kidding.
Yeah.
By the way, my nephew's water polo team beat Garces for the first time ever. Edison High School water polo class of whatever. Congratulations to those boys.
Yeah.
Garces, you guys were very snobby to us. Oh, you were in Marcella was in Bakersfield for many years. Did you go to Garces High?
No, but I knew they were really.
They're snobby, right?
Yeah.
Oh, great school, she said. Good Catholic girl that she is. Marcella. All right.
Yep.
So in retirement, if you're not flying around the skies of Hawaii, which by the way I did, scarier than crap. By the way, flying over those mountaintops. I understand that you're into restoring old cars.
Yeah, for a while now. The late 60s, early 70s stuff, the Chevelles, Novas.
Are they original, or do you soup them up? What do you got?
I'm going to call it resto mod.
Resto mods, yeah.
With the exception of my daughter and I built a 57 pickup.
Your daughter?
Yeah. From ground up, literally frame on the floor up, and she actually drove it in high school. And tried to keep that one pretty original.
That's the best.
Yeah, it was cool. I still think she's real happy that we sold it, but
a 57
pickup.
Ford or Chevy?
Chevy
pickup.
Yeah. So I've had a couple of Chevelles, got another Chevelle now, the 66 Nova, putting modern motors in them.
Yeah.
But a lot of fun.
That's the thing to do, huh? Take like a Corvette Z71, I think, a motor, and put those things in them.
Yeah, the LS3s.
Yeah, make them reliable and they don't stink.
Good gas mileage, the whole 9 yards. A lot of fun. But it keeps me very busy. And I got some good friends that are all into it as well. So it's a good crew of guys. We talk shop. And
a friend of mine just passed. Did you know Richard Peters?
I didn't know him, but I knew of him.
We
Extremely honorable guy in the hot rod world.
Absolutely. And we went to his warehouse for just a gathering of old friends, and there was just probably 40 cars in this warehouse, all customized. Yeah, amazing.
I got some friends that knew him very well.
I'll call Susan, his daughter, and I'll say we want to go tour around. All right.
There you go.
Seriously, I'm not joking around. Wow. If you want to go check it out, it's some beautiful cars.
I've heard it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Is the Air Wing going to be a dying breed when it comes to the future as far as drones and all that kind of stuff? Is that coming in?
Not for a long time, because what we do with the helicopter in a law enforcement capacity, especially when it comes to the rescue stuff, for a helicopter to be flying around and be able to deploy a cinch collar and talk to somebody and tell them what's going to happen and pull them out from underneath the strainer. I'm not saying that someday that might not happen, but for the foreseeable future, I see air units a very strong foothold in that portion of law enforcement. When it comes to drones and delivering food and all the kind of crazy stuff that they want to do, I think that's still even quite a ways out.
Is there any talk? Well, and you retired how many months ago or weeks ago?
A month and a half ago.
Month and a half ago. Okay. Is there any talk over there that listen, the patrols, the surveillance, the helicopter that circles, at 2 a.m. when you're trying to go to sleep, that potentially that could be drone operated stuff instead of helicopters?
Actually, that portion of law enforcement is actually being done by drones.
Yeah.
The Sheriff's Department does have a very strong and active drone program.
No kidding.
With deputies being out in the field and having these drones in their vehicles, they're able to deploy them as soon as they go on scene. And they can get eyes on a location, or they can even check a location for either people or objects very quickly.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Prior to even the helicopter even flying. Say if it's a call in Kalinga, it still takes us 30 minutes to fly to Kalinga. A guy could be deploying a drone within minutes of getting on scene, and if he's close enough to the call and have good aerial visibility of a scene within moments.
And all these young deputies played video games their whole lives anyway, so they're used to it.
Drone pilots, and they're all very well trained. They go through training every week. And
I thought there would be like a command center where these drones are flying out of. They're just carrying them in their cars nowadays.
Yeah, I mean that they're small enough. They just put them down on the ground. They fly them up, and they've found people in rural Fresno County, a lot of orchards, a lot of vineyards. Yeah. These drones have thermal. Yeah, and they can go out and find people.
Wow.
You get a kid that walks away from a home.
Yeah, and you can't even commit a crime anymore these days, Marcelo.
Not with as much.
And get away with it. I would have been in trouble as a young kid. So
they're out there.
Keep working on those mods, those cars. I did with I had a '68 MG.
Oh, nice.
And you said in one of your quotes, basically, it's like therapy to you.
It is.
I get it.
Yeah.
working on that body work. It's relaxing, isn't it?
One broken bolt away from the 3-day bike.
Okay. Well, honey at home, he may be just working on the cars at home. No Hawaii for you guys. So, all right. Michael, thanks for being on the show.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. We'll see you next week on the Marc Kapetan Show. That was Michael Sill from the Fresno Sheriff's Department. Happy in his retirement. No longer with Eagle One. So, all right. We'll see you next week on the Marc Kapetan Show. This has been KMJ. Thanks to my wonderful, lovely producer who also hates Garces High School, Marcella Solorio Taylor. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.